is a presentation of HBO Sports.
He stands 7 feet tall, and he weighs over 320 pounds. In the era of supersized heavyweights, Nikolai Valuev rises high above the crowd. 10 months ago, he used more than just his stature to grab the attention of the boxing world when he decisioned Jean Ruiz to win a heavyweight title. Undefeated in 44 fights, the massive Russian now brings his act to the United States, seeking to further enhance his championship credentials. Standing in Valuev's way, 6 foot 3 inch, 220-pound American Monte Barrett. American television debut of Russia's first ever heavyweight title. World Championship Boxing returns next. A clear view of the skyline of downtown Chicago as we snake along the shore of the lake. HBO high definition, about to show you your first look at towering Russian heavyweight, the high rise of the division, Nikolai Valuev, going against Monte Barrett, whom he outweighs by 106 pounds in defense of his heavyweight title. Nikolai Valuev is not the first gargantuan giant in the heavyweight division. There have been other fighters who were seen in their times as the same thing. The 6 foot 6 inch Potawatomi, Kansas farm boy, Jess Willard, who took the title in the mid-teens from Jack Johnson and then lost it to Jack Dempsey, was nearly 6 feet 7 inches tall, seen as a towering giant at that time. And likewise, Primo Carnera, brought here in the 1930s from Italy to see if he could swallow all of America and its heavyweights. The Amblin Alp ultimately made only a minor mark on the division. So what now for the 7 foot plus Russian heavyweight Nikolai Valuev? Our cameras followed him to Russia and found a shy, contemplative warrior. Check him out. If it were entirely up to Nikolai Valuev, no one from mass media would make the 1 hour drive east from Berlin to subject him to an interview.
No, I don't like it. Useless chatter.
3 weeks ago, he was tucked away in Kainbaum, a former East German Olympic athlete factory. This is the heavy bag on which Valuev wails away. This is the medicine ball he throws across the gym. But he doesn't let cameras see any of that.
As a rule, I prohibit any video recordings of my training by the media.
But he allowed us to shoot him hitting mitts on a soccer field, and even a few minutes in the ring with his trainer. And then, slowly, he began to explain his extraordinary life.
It's unlikely you could briefly tell the story of my life, because my life has been so eventful, and I'm already 33 years old. But I suppose you could try.
Born in St. Petersburg, Russia, to working-class parents of below-average height, Valuev says it was a normal, happy childhood.
I never set myself apart from the other children. It was just that I was taller than them. In everything else, we were absolutely the same, with identical interests that kids would have. The only real difference was simply my height.
By the 6th grade, his height was 6 feet, 6 inches.
For this reason, when some people would see me from behind, let's say in public, they would address me as an adult. And of course, when I would answer, they would immediately see that I was still a child, yet wouldn't really understand what was going on. Some perceived me in that situation to simply be weak-minded.
At age 12, Valuev was entered by his parents into an elite Soviet sports school where he played basketball. Only at age 20,
after the breakup of the Soviet Union did he begin boxing.
So I'm watching this huge guy boxing against James Gaines, if I remember correctly, being broadcast directly from Moscow. And I think I was watching him for about an hour, and I'm watching him punch very slowly. Then I say to myself, oh God, please give me a chance to work with this guy.
Gabrielian saw something in the 7-footer that others did not. In the late 90s, Valuev's fights focused attention on his size, but never tested his talent, because not even Valuev's trainer at that time thought he could be a top fighter.
I even told him that Nikolai would be a world champion. That trainer said, no way, I'll never believe that. So I told Nikolai, you are the future champion of the world, which he responded, no, this won't happen for me. And of course today I can say to him, remember when I used to tell you? And he says, yes, I remember.
The world champion is Nikolai Valuev!
But even now, as a heavyweight title holder with a 44-0 record, Valuev struggles to be seen as something more than something to be seen.
It's all show, it's all circus. Like in boxing skills, I can't even tell. He's not very talented and not very skilled, but of course he can finish the job.
The eighth wonder of the world. Yeah. Hey, that's my Russian giant. Pick it up.
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
Pick him up, Nikolai. King Kong couldn't do that.
Don King always pronounces or always says that he's Goliath and all that stuff, and King Kong, he doesn't like that much.
I generally don't like those nicknames, because I have a name. When someone addresses me as if I'm not a normal person, I simply stop communicating with them.
Nikolai prepares for his fights in Germany, but afterwards returns to Russia, to his son Grisha and his wife Galya.
She is probably the only person that knows me 100% and understands me 100%, better than anyone else.
On Nikolai's day off, he brought us here, to a Russian church in a Berlin suburb.
Поставил за свечки за здравие своей семье, своим близким.
Ты скучаешь по России?
Всегда скучаю.
He wanted to avoid crowds, but finally agreed to walk through this busy market for our camera. Nikolai Valuev, the tallest man ever to wear a heavyweight belt, the center of attention everywhere he goes, is that rare elite athlete whose hope is to be seen as ordinary.
Lots of people, I'm sure, don't see me as an ordinary person, but this really doesn't have an impact on me. Because for me, the most important thing is how you perceive yourself, not how the world sees you.
My microphone has a difficulty. No, now I can hear that it's come back. Let me repeat. Floyd Mayweather Jr. could not hear our signal out in Las Vegas. Therefore, no live interview at this moment with Floyd. We hope to bring it to you after the main event. Larry Merchant, coming off the Valuev feature. For inquiring minds, it's a simple question. Can he fight? Can he be a dominant heavyweight?
If he can fight a little, given his size, maybe that's a lot. But he seems somehow to limit himself by his desire to seem normal. Just a normal giant, a guy as big as a Russian bear. That's how he wants to be not seen, not as a giant, as a man of skills. He seemed to subscribe to Shakespeare's line that it's excellent to have a giant's strength, but it's tyrannous to use the strength of a giant. To be effective, Jim, he's going to have to be more than a giant jabber, which he has been in his recent fights. Maybe having a title will unloose him.
Yeah, we'll see if that happens. And there's a lot of local knowledge that goes into the effort to upend Valuev, because the man who's training Monte Barrett is your longtime training assistant, James Bashir. You know him as well as anyone. Bashir says to us that Monte Barrett's plan to beat Valuev is to jump inside, get on his body, attack him early, try to test his stamina, and then upend him in the late rounds. Is it a good strategy, and can Barrett pull it off?
It's a category strategy. The main thing in fighting a guy like Valuev, you got to be unpredictable. And don't fight him in a straight line where you're going straight forward, straight back. Make him turn, have to use his size, twist and contort himself a little bit. I don't know if Monte's going to do that. If he does that, he has a pretty fair chance. The biggest thing dealing with a guy like him is just his physical size and the fact that he has a solid foundation, the way he punches. He does things so even if he misses a punch, he doesn't get his body out of position too much. He throws little short, accurate punches, which is unusual for a big guy. So he's got his work cut out in fighting the Valuev.
All right, this may be unprecedented, but probably some of you tuned in to see this historic tale of the tape.
Rule. Only the referee can stop the fight. In case the cut is caused by an accidental headbutt, we go to the scorecards after 4 rounds have been completed, and you cannot be saved by the bell on any round, including the 12th and final round. Jim!
Thank you very much, Harold. 14 months ago, Monte Barrett had the chance in a title eliminator against Hasim Rahman in this town to earn a chance to fight for a heavyweight championship. He bombed, so he's lucky to be here, Larry.
He's very fortunate. He's really never beaten a top heavyweight. We just don't know if Valuev is a top heavyweight yet.
Barrett lost ignominiously to Vladimir Klitschko. He came close to upending Joe Macy in Madison Square Garden, lost that fight by a point. Finally got a significant win, Emmanuel, over Dominic Quinn, but mostly he's been a I'd like to without ever having gotten there.
Well, you're right, and he's very fortunate to be in this position tonight, and he's aware of that. But on the other hand, when you look at even Valuev, who is the champion, he's never had a dominant performance against anyone, including the 2 notable names that he beat, which was, I guess, Johnny Ruiz and...
Johnny Ruiz and Larry Donald.
Larry Donald. So, you know, he's he had some close decisions, but he's very fortunate to be in this position, Monte Barrett, tonight.
Bottom line is that Barrett may be the most skilled boxer Valuev has yet seen in the ring.
It is true, and in fact that he hasn't fought in nearly a year and lost his last fight, but still he's considered by most of us in boxing as the best that Valuev will have fought.
And now here comes Nikolai Valuev. You can see the record in title fights. The knockout over Owen What the Heck Beck was served up after Valuev got past John Ruiz in a hotly disputed decision in Germany.
If you look inside the heads of many athletes, all you see is a rock and roll band and naked ladies. If you look inside his head, there's Leo Tolstoy, the novelist. He says he learned about his own country, Russia, from War and Peace. He said he learned about America reading James Fenimore Cooper, who wrote many great American novels, including Last of the Mohegans.
Indeed, it was Hasim Rahman who said of Valuev, his head is as big as a Volkswagen. But consider it a Volkswagen library, because that giant head is filled with big ideas, literature, poetry, philosophy, the classics. He is typically Russian. Let's go to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, Don King Productions and Sauerland Event are proud to present the featured bout of the evening, brought to you in association with HBO Sports, sponsored by Ulmid Vodka and Grossinger Cadillac. Sanctioned by the Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulation. Director Ron Puccillo, Executive Manager Joel Campuzano, WBA Supervisor Michael Welsh. This is the main event of the evening, 12 rounds of boxing for the WBA Heavyweight Championship of the World. The 3 judges at ringside scoring this contest on the 10-point system are Hubert Earl, Ted Gimza, Medardo Villalobos, and inside the ring, your referee in charge of the action at the bell, John O'Brien. And now, from the Chicago metropolitan area, Allstate Arena, Rosemont, Illinois. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! Fighting out of the red corner, wearing red with blue and white. Official weight, 222 pounds. Professional record, 31 victories, including 70 knockouts with 4 defeats. From Queens, New York, the challenger, Monte "Two Guns" Barrett. And fighting out of the blue corner, wearing dark blue, official weight 328 pounds. He has a perfect professional record, 44 bouts, 44 victories, including 32 knockouts, with 25 of those KOs coming in 3 rounds or less. From St. Petersburg, Russia, the reigning, defending, undefeated WBA heavyweight champion of the world, the Russian giant, Nikolai Valuev.
Boxers, you've already received your instruction in the dressing room. Expect a good, clean, professional contest. Obey my commands at all times. Protect yourselves at all times. Let's touch gloves. Let's touch them up. Back to your corners, gentlemen.
In this city of big shoulders, as it is known, can this big-shouldered giant lift the heavyweight division onto them? Can Monte Barrett capture one of the titles as an American?
Yesterday, Larry Merchant asked Monte Barrett, "Are you hungry for this fight?" Barrett said, "Hungry? I'm past starving. I'm near dead. I have no choice but to win."
He has the right mental attitude coming into this fight. I give him credit for that.
Well, you can see right away he's trying to come in and work, be aggressive. It's not his normal style.
Once again, Valuev weighed in at 328. Barrett weighed in at 222. It's a difference of 106 pounds. John Ruiz was dramatically outweighed as well, but outlanded Valuev in power shots, and Barrett just landed the first big power shot of the fight and seems momentarily to stun Valuev with a right hand. Monte Barrett firing away, lands a big left hook. He got away with a knockdown. His glove touched the canvas. Valuev knocked him down. The referee didn't see the glove touch the canvas.
Yeah, you know, but he's fighting him too straight, going straight in on him. So it's just a matter of time he's going to get knocked out.
And you're exactly right, Jim. That was a knockdown.
Barrett's already been down. His glove touched the canvas, but the referee did not see it. Now Valuev simply throws him down.
Stay here, stay here. Let's go.
Many in the crowd on their feet.
Barrett is trying to do a Dempsey to Willard, trying to overwhelm the bigger man with activity and speed.
July 4, 1919, Toledo, Ohio. Jack Dempsey in the first round against Jeff Willard. Knocked out 5 of his teeth, broke 3 of his ribs in one of the most vicious assaults ever. Dempsey was outweighed 60 pounds. This is different, 106 pounds.
Yeah, but Barrett is just going straight back and even coming in with his arms wide open, no defense. It's just a matter of time he's going to get knocked out. He's
a bit of a wrestling match there.
He's not attacking him from angles or anything.
He's not doing what James Bashir wanted him to do. He's flinging himself at the giant.
It appears that Valuev's punches don't have to land flush to move Barrett.
328 pounds. They don't even have to land on just graze you, and that's enough to knock you down.
Looking at him in the ring now, in a face-to-face perspective for the first time, Emmanuel, he would dwarf even Vladimir Klitschko.
Vladimir is 6'7", and he would even be taller than him, but Vladimir still ever be the biggest guy that he'd ever fought himself.
And probably with the quickest jab. Hard right hand by Valuev. Barrett reaches in and grabs.
Stay off his head.
And Vladimir has fought 7 foot tall, he says, in Russia when he was in the amateurs.
There's an uppercut for Valuev, well-chosen punch.
And he's right there to be hit.
Break clean, break clean.
First round coming to a close. It's been a spectacle. And once again, Monte Barrett is lucky that he is not already the victim of a knockdown in the fight. As we go to Valuev's corner where they speak Russian, our interpreter is Mark Leibovich.
Everything's perfect. Everything's perfect. Just you don't have to do anything. Just keep throwing punches, and just keep throwing punches. That's all. And work on his body.
All right. Let's punch straight, and then open up the overhand right. Okay. Yeah, he got it. You did good. Jimmy, put a little more on this right eye over here. You're doing all right, but punch straight.
Here you see them just, we say, winging punches where either one could land. And in this particular case, he got his punches in, meaning Barrett first. And then you see the next big power punch that ended up came from the big man.
CompuBox numbers in one. Valuev 14 out of 54. That's pretty much an average round for him. Barrett 14 out of 59. Valuev landed only 1 of 13 jabs. Usually he's much more accurate with the jab than that. Again, Barrett gets in a power shot, and the crowd oohs and ahs in the first seconds of round 2. James Bashir not terribly critical of Monte Barrett, and we thought maybe he would be after the wildness of round 1.
Well, I think Barrett is doing what he wants to do. Can he continue doing it?
Well, his corner, James Bashir, told him to throw straight punches with throwing looping punches.
Valuev letting his right hand go again. Already he's thrown more right-hand power shots in the first couple of rounds than we saw for much of the night in his Europe fight against John Ruiz. Worked almost exclusively with the jab against Ruiz, who was able to jump inside and land power shots, but had difficulty getting away from the long snap of the left jab.
Barrett's come out here to take the jab away. Challenge Valuev to beating him in some other way than what has always been his best punch.
Actually, if he would jab, he could beat Valuev with the jab, from what I can see.
Because
Valuev is just too slow, and all he has to do is jab over top of Valuev's right hand the way it's extended. He would hit him with the jab.
And incidentally, as Barrett determines whether he wants to try to jab with the jabber, in Valuev's fight against Ruiz, he out-grabbed the grabber. The fight was examined for clinches, of which there were 111, and Valuev was seen to have initiated 76 of them.
Someone out-clinched Ruiz
by a wide margin. He out-grabbed the grabber.
Break. Well, I think because of the size differential in his fights, there are always going to be a lot of clinches just like this.
Break clean.
If Barrett was settled down, he's too hyper, too nervous, and just work a jab and box, believe it or not, he could possibly win this fight simply on that, but I don't think he's going to do it. All they do is move and box.
It's hard to imagine Valuev getting very tired at this work rate. Of course, maybe this work rate's pretty good for a man of his size. I mean, I love Larry's opening line. If he can fight a little, does that mean it's a lot?
Right away, you're hearing that nobody loves it. Goliath, Will Chamberlain's famous line as the crowd starts to chant for Barrett.
Everything's fine. You're doing fine. You're doing fine. You see, he's already tired. He's already tired. Just push him a little bit more. Push it a little bit. I feel what you're doing right now. Just You're jerking, and then jab him. Just throw punch and meet him.
Here you see the wild overhand rights that Barrett is throwing, but still a lot of those are making some barely contact, but they're still landing somewhat.
Incidentally, Monte Barrett, should have pointed out before now, Monte Barrett fighting with pink gloves on in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. A very warm and very laudable gesture toward breast cancer awareness in this country. Good for Monte.
Stop! Stop! You, watch your head. Let's go.
Barrett scored his upset win over Dominic Quinn. He was so far down on his luck that he saw that basically as his last chance. Then he was in a pretty good position and got that opportunity against Rahman 14 months ago. By his own admission, he stunk out the joint.
And you know what, I'm looking at this fight. He has a chance to score upset tonight if he would fight properly, because Valuev looks very vulnerable to me for almost anything. But you know, he's fighting just the wrong way, coming straight in, bending over where he's going to get hit on the back of the head and up where sooner or later he's going to get tired and get knocked out.
There he stuck a jab and he stuck another jab, Manny. Maybe he's beginning to think what you're thinking, that he could outbox the Giant if he stays in his envelope.
Break. He was hyper in the first round just to see what Valuev had. He's settled down now. Let's see if there is something he can do.
Break.
So far, what we're getting a 1-2 clinch. 1-2 clinch.
Those right hands on the side of his head, even though he's going underneath them, they wear you out because they're coming over top and they're going to drain him eventually.
Break.
If he would roll underneath and come back with a left hook, roll his shoulder and throw a counter right, anything. Because Valuev does the same thing over and over.
Stop! Stop!
If Barrett could do those things, Emmanuel, he would have beaten a good fighter somewhere earlier in his career.
Stop! Stop! Too much holding, guys.
This is the calm after the storm of the first fight.
Well, there were many in Madison Square Garden who thought that Barrett won his tumultuous bout against Joe Macy, fight in which Macy emerged with a razor-thin decision.
Let's work.
But he actually outweighed Macy.
Stop!
He didn't do anything until he got knocked down.
Left hook by Barrett. Got off first. Beat Valuev to the punch.
Watch the head. Let's go.
Valuev still hasn't gotten his jab going the way he does in most fights. Now they trade right hands at close range, and Barrett lands a left hook. You saw there that when Nikolai Valuev throws a power punch, he can be countered because he winds up off balance, and that's what Barrett saw. Friday, October 27, catch the premiere of Countdown to Baldomir Mayweather, a documentary-style look into both camps as they prepare to face off for Baldomir's welterweight title November 4 on HBO pay-per-view.
Lot of shakes. Keep moving to your right side. Punch straight. When he tries to defend against that punch to the body, go over the top. Time the right hand. Trying to throw a right hand underneath, you time it with your left hook. You understand? He goes to throw the right hand underneath, you time it with the left hook. You got me?
Barrett is just winging desperation punches, but still he's been effective in landing those.
Saw there, Valuev missed a big right hand. Barrett hit him with a right, came back with a left, almost landed another right hand. Average jabs per round, Valuev 3 out of 16, Barrett 3 out of 17. They're dead even there. They both landed 40 punches by CompuBox count in the first 3 rounds. The numbers could scarcely be more even. Harold, how do you have it so far?
Okay, Jim, 2 rounds to 1, 29-28, Nikolai Valuev. Jim, I thought that Nikolai won that first round when he hurt Monte Barrett. Monte didn't do a heck of a lot in the second round, but Monte Barrett winged that right hand over the top, and Nikolai didn't do a darn thing in round 3. Sando Gege in the third round to Monte Barrett. 2-1 Valuev.
Barrett was batted by a left hook here about 20 seconds ago. Now there's the left hook for Barrett, lands solidly, and he gets in a right before Valuev pushes him away. Right now, Barrett is landing the more effective punches. And he does it again. Just missed with the left, lands a right. Valuev blocks the second one. Barrett says, I'll try it one more time.
Turning out to be a street brawl between a big guy and a smaller guy, and that's all it is at this stage.
Break.
No boxing, no techniques.
Yeah, it looks like the doorman is trying to keep some interloper out of the club.
There's the jab again.
It looks like a battle between a Mastiff and a smallish pit bull. And Barrett is not by nature a pit bull, but he's trying to be one tonight.
Break. You coming in with your head too low. Let's go.
Those raising right hands are taking their effect on Barrett because he's getting tired. Plus, those punches they're pushing the weight, and he's becoming more predictable to land up for a right hand now.
In any sport, you see it over and over and over. Small can handle big, sometimes for 2/3 or 3/4 of the competition. But ultimately, small will tire faster than big.
And that's what's happening. Plus, I think he was very hyper, too. That didn't happen at all.
Valuev got in a solid right and a winging left. Barrett landed one punch in the exchange.
Which tells me he's not really a devastating puncher as big as he is. He's landed enough blows to the side of the head and somewhere where he should have been able to have seriously knocked down Monte Barrett by now if he had any real punching power.
I agree. Having watched his tapes of Ruiz and Donald and even the Owen Beckfeld fight, I do not believe Valuev is a big puncher. But I believe he's usually a better jabber than we've seen tonight. Now he begins to stick that jab in Barrett's face and try to follow it with the right hand over the top. And there is a tremendous danger of getting hit on the back of the head.
Yes.
Barrett landed another thudding right hand to punctuate the round, and the crowd rises as they support the American fighter.
Jimmy, a little slight cut in the corner.
Okay, hit him from the right. Hit him from the right, and stay calm, stay put. You have to hit him left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right. I don't see any combinations when you're doing this. So try to alternate left, left, right, right. You see, I depend on you. I depend on you. Just do what you can. Yes, be smart.
Breathe again. Use your legs more. Stay over to the right side. You got me? Stay to that right side.
Let's go, guys. Come on, guys. Let's go.
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
For some reason, I find myself thinking of Andre the Giant, the wrestler who was about 7'4" and 350.
Yeah.
And he fought an exhibition with a big heavyweight, Chuck Wepner. And what he did was he picked Wepner up and threw him into the crowd.
You know, it's a lot of heavyweights would give anything to be in the position of Monte Barrett tonight, the way that Valuev is looking. Because Barrett is fighting, to me, I think, a terrible fight, and still it's a competitive fight.
Let's go. Break. Watch that head. Let's go.
Barrett has slowed down considerably. Just looking now to wing a few punches around and hope something gets in and hurts Valuev.
And as the action slows, it leaves us time for ringside request. You can log on to hbo.com/boxing and file a request for a question to be forwarded to Emmanuel Stewart, Larry Merchant, or Jim Lampley. And question number 1 tonight to you, Emmanuel. There are so many rumors about you training so many guys in this sport. That's all I can say. Regarding Tommy Morrison's comeback, a viewer asks, any chance of you training him?
I would not have the time. I'm right now preoccupied with Vladimir Klitschko. That Vladimir is a handful. You have to start at 6 in the morning with him, and you may not finish up to 8 at night because he likes to train 2-3 times a day, watch fight films, talk boxing. So that's my schedule.
So you believe in Vladimir, you train the #1 heavyweight in the world. You also have a heavyweight prospect named Jonathan Banks, correct?
Yes, so Jonathan is a cruiserweight, NABO cruiserweight champion. He's a very good prospect.
Let's go.
And he fights heavyweight in between.
And what about the amateur, Hasim Rahman's son, Hasim Rahman Jr.?
Yeah, I've got Hasim Rahman Jr. among my amateur team. That's my heavyweight.
That's the Emmanuel Stewart heavyweight division, and it will not include Tommy Morrison. Yeah, I saw Tommy recently at the James Tony Samuel Peter fight in Los Angeles, and he looked to be in good condition. That's all I can say. Valuev trying to land something big over the top in what has been a relatively action-free 5th round.
I don't know, it looks like all the rounds to me.
Well, I think the action has slowed somewhat since the frenzy of the first couple rounds, Larry.
Well, it looks like they're fighting in amber.
Stop! And Valuev just taking his time and trying to land one of those clubbing right hands. Just a matter of time. He picked it. There it is. And that's what he's trying to land. And then when he landed it, he still didn't knock him out and knock him down.
Thudding right hand landed flush over the top. Barrett took it, although he was momentarily bent by it.
Break clean.
Now he takes a right hand to the body. Monte's clearly in pretty good shape. Wails away at Valuev with a right hand to the body of his own.
Double your jabs inside the head. Keep them in. Keep them inside of the chest. Do a little more body work now. Hands gonna come down, then you go over the top with the left hooks. Hands come down. Go straight with your punches. Don't reach up so much. You're looking for the right hand. So what you do, you shake the right hand. Go to your left hook right hand. You understand? Shake the right hand. Go to your left hook right hand. And stay to your right side. Okay. Can't do nothing when you move your right. Looking good, son. Looking good. Looking real good.
You gonna pick it up now?
Yeah. You're turning up on his ass now. He's tired. Hit him and go. Hit him and go. Hit him and go.
An aerial look at the skyline of Chicago. Jabs in round 5. Valuev had his best round of the fight so far, landing 11 out of 26. If that pattern continues to grow, then Valuev will have the advantage in the fight.
What I'm surprised, I thought Valuev would be jabbing more because I saw before he has a very good left jab when he uses it, but he's basically just waiting to throw his right hand.
I think he may have been ruffled a bit by the frenzy of Barrett in the first couple of rounds, and he might have thought that he was going to get a chance for an early knockout, so he threw more power punches. And now he's starting to get back into that Nikolai Valuev groove, which is basically jab, 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 jab. Barrett landing some shots to that giant head of Valuev.
You know, those are slinging shots. And, you know, Valuev can see each one of them coming to his body's preparing for him, so they're not that effective.
And referee John O'Brien eventually said to Barrett, look, throw clean punches.
Let's go. If he just did his jab, he would set up this guy with a jab and eventually throw a straight right hand or either short left hook. But he should use his jab more with Valuev because it's effective.
Valuev's jab blocks out the sun. If you let him get it going and throw 25 or 30 around as he did in the last round, you've got yourself a tremendous tactical problem. This time Valuev grabbed Barrett as he came inside.
Break clean.
And for the first time, a look of something like discouragement seems to creep into the face of Monte Barrett. Valuev sticks the jab. Barrett rips him with a left hook.
But one thing, Monte Barrett has gotten comfortable with the size difference. I think it's not intimidating to now. He's gotten very comfortable with it. Feels very, you know, comfortable in the whole situation. But the size is not that intimidating to him, I don't think, as it was in the beginning.
No, the jab is the problem now. The jab is landing and pushing him back.
Watch that head.
He's tired maybe, but I don't think he has the fear that much. And he's beginning to feel that he can hit Valuev when he wants to for the most part himself now.
They trade shots again at close range. Barrett landed solidly, so did Valuev.
Those right hands on the side of the head and the shoulders is taking an effect though.
There's another right hand for Valuev. There's another left hook for Barrett.
Break clean, break clean.
Valuev's accuracy is rising as the fight goes on. There's a good left to the body. That was a well-chosen cleanup left hook.
He's just taking his time, biding his time right now. He's not ruffled by Barrett at all.
I was surprised to see that good left hook. He didn't show that against John Ruiz.
Pull that jab back, pull it back.
Got Barrett on the back of the head as the round came to a close, and Monte looks just a little bit weary as he settles down at the midway point of the fight.
Those back of the head punches don't do any good. They affect you.
Well, use the tactics. Use the tactics. Be smart. Be smart. Would you keep it? Okay. Try to use the tactics. Then left, then right. The jab with the right hand.
Because we in this thing big time. We got him here. You hear?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, we got him, baby.
Yes.
Let's got him. Combination punches now. Combinations. Stay low, combination. Okay. Okay, here you go, here you go.
Barrett's trainer, James Bashir, told us yesterday, rounds 7, 8, and 9 will tell us who Valuev is. If Monte has done his business in the first 6 rounds, Valuev's stamina will be on the line in those 3 rounds. Let's see if Bashir knew what he was talking about. Harold, how do you have it through 6?
I don't know about James Bashir telling him he's winning it big. 58-56, 4 rounds to 2, Nikolai Valuev. Jim, this guy's got, he's in his rhythm, Valuev, and Monte's not. Monte's just winging that right hand over the top, hoping to land the big one. In the meantime, Valuev keeps dropping that right hand down on him and doing more damage. And that's all there is to it. I mean, Monte just can't, he's a slow starter. He can't get into a rhythm early, and I don't think he's in a rhythm in this fight yet. 4-2, Valuev.
I agree that Valuev is winning the fight. For what it's worth.
Well, Larry, do you think, and this is a viewer request question, do you think we'll have an undisputed heavyweight champion anytime soon?
I don't know that we'll have an undisputed champion anytime soon, but I think within a year or so, we'll have a recognized champion. Somebody will emerge who will be recognized as the best of the bunch.
There was hope for a while that a fight between titleists Roland Moskaev and Vladimir Klitschko could be made for November 11. Ultimately, they wound up choosing separate opponents. Klitschko is fighting Calvin Brock, and Moskaev is going to fight the guy that Klitschko chose not to fight, Shannon Briggs. Maybe eventually they angle toward each other.
Well, it wasn't Vladimir chose not to fight.
Excuse me, Lehovic is fighting Briggs. Excuse me, not Moskaev. Lehovic is fighting Briggs. I apologize for that. Lehovic took the WBO title from Lehman Brewster last year. He's from Belarus, but lives in Scottsdale.
You would think that one American would win one of these 3 fights.
From among Brock, Briggs, and Barrett.
Right.
An American whose last name begins with B.
Break, step back. Let's go.
Maybe if they fail, Max Baer could be next. Referee John O'Brien doesn't like Valuev just blocking Barrett across the ring. Now Valuev begins to let his hands go a little more as he thinks he's got Barrett going.
Yeah, this is the fatigue factor, and those right hands on the side of the head are taking that effect sooner or later.
Barrett is hurt
and tired.
Let's go.
And incidentally, it's an 18-foot ring, and it starts to look smaller and smaller now as Barrett's options begin to close.
Give me that water. Give me the water. Give me the water. Give me the water. Get over his bucket. Come on, get over the bucket. All right, okay, all right. How you doing? Talk to me. Talk to me. You all right?
Gotcha.
Rinse, get a good rinse.
Wasn't good enough.
Right here, you can see the right hand of Valuev coming right here and landing a very good short right hand. And once again, you see another. Those right hands have a lot of effect. It may not be landing on the chin, but just enough of those on the side of your head and top of your head get you disorientated.
What do you think of his level of craft, Manny?
Valuev?
Yeah.
I'm not impressed at all. I'll be very honest with you tonight. I mean, it's both guys really look, to me, not impressive enough to be fighting for the heavyweight championship of the world.
Well, it's just a heavyweight title belt.
Maybe that's the state of it.
It's just a heavyweight title belt.
Yeah.
They're trading shots again, and this is not good for Barrett. And Monte's grabbing and holding on.
I give him credit for that. It's the one thing he's doing. When he gets hit, he always try to get in close and smother him. He doesn't bag back that much.
Valuev was 22 out of 50 in the last round, with 22 connects for his high total for the fight, and 16 of them were power shots. Let's go.
Valuev has gone 12 rounds 6 times, so he doesn't spend more money than he has in these fights.
He only has 1 knockout past the 6th round in his 44 fights coming in. Amazingly, Monte Barrett has 5 knockouts past the 6th round. Barrett almost went down. The ropes kept him up, and he bounced off the ropes and landed a counter punch. But that right hand really hurt Monte Barrett.
Barrett had a little left. Valuev is so wide open now, trying to finish the fight, he could hurt him.
Dude, it's a forearm. Let's go.
On the other hand, it's hard to generate leverage and power when you're punching 1 foot up.
Watch your head.
It's like he's leaping up to change a light bulb.
You could throw the greatest uppercut of all time, and it might lose all its power before it reaches the target. Monte goes down, seemingly as much from exhaustion as from contact.
Yes. Accumulation of the weight, the exhaustion.
That's why he doesn't like the knockdown call.
Well, he was off balance, but he's the one who put himself off balance.
So the first knockdown of the fight, although I believe Barrett was knocked down in round 1 and got away with it.
Break clean. Let's go.
That momentarily settles the issue of whether Monte could really have a viable shot of winning a decision, or it seems it would appear to.
It's going to be a life and death struggle for him to go more than another round or 2.
He's trying to land one big right-hand shot and change both his life and Valuev's in one moment. So the first knockdown of the fight takes place in round 8 as Monte Barrett tastes the canvas.
How we doing? Okay. You okay? Bucket on the side of you, right there. You got to get back to jabbing him. You got to get back to jabbing him and go to your left hook. You're looking for the right hand. Stiff jabs, 2 of them right down the middle, and then drop the right hand. Breathe deep. Breathe deep. We still in the fight? Yeah. Okay, let's go, baby. Let's go.
Okay, more jabs with the right hand. Remember, the previous round, you were doing fine. You were doing fine.
Right here, you see the right hand. Yeah, that would have to be considered a knockdown. Even though Barrett has been falling in off balance like that all night, he was still hit before he went down. So legally, it's a knockdown.
CompuBox numbers through the 8th round. Valuev 127 out of 345. Barrett 97 out of 343. Harold Letterman has Valuev with a 3-point lead. Interestingly, scored the round 10-9, though Valuev had a knockdown. 5-point lead, Harold says. Right? Well, maybe I'm not sure.
Break.
Now the truck tells me that acknowledges that 78-73 is what we were looking for there. All right, so in other words, the numbers from the last round didn't get in, and it was a 10-8 round. And now here are more power shots for Valuev. And Barrett is really having a hard time of it as he flails away and keeps trying to land a big one.
It's a pure 6 brawl.
Break. Step back.
Barrett's like a 6'6" forward who's been jumping over a 7-footer all night to get rebounds and now has no legs left.
Stop. Stop. You. Pull that punch back. Pull it back. Let's go.
Never heard that instruction before, Emmanuel. What was he
I don't know what it was when you pull the punch back. I don't understand.
Break.
Well, I guess he's saying don't leave the arm out there as a bar or as an impediment after you've thrown the punch. What a left hook by Monte Barrett. It landed flush on the giant head of Valuev, but Valuev was throwing a right hand and landed his at the same time.
Valuev has a head like a St. Bernard and seems to absorb punches pretty well.
Stop.
Well, we were having a discussion yesterday in which both of you were suggesting that the larger a man's head, the better he's going to be able to take punches.
Yeah. As Vladimir corrected me, his skull.
His skull.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Thank you, Vladimir.
Yeah.
That from a man with a PhD in exercise physiology.
Yes. It's going to be interesting with him and Calvin.
Oh, huge left hook by Barrett. Perfectly thrown.
Desperation punches, and he's slinging them in there and still landing.
He ought to stay with the left hook. Valuev can see the right hand coming. There you go. The left hook lands again. But Valuev lands a huge counter right hand.
And Barrett goes under most of those right hands because you see him coming, so he just drops underneath them.
I got to hand it to Valuev. He's pretty smart. Every time Barrett launches and lands that left hook, Valuev is countering with the right hand instantly.
Valuev does the same thing over and over. If that was a Joe Frazier type guy, Barrett would make a little weave and come up with a left hook. But as you said, Larry, if he was that type of a fighter, he may not would be getting the opportunity to fight Valuev anyway.
You're not doing what I'm saying. You're not doing what I'm saying. Why are you dancing? Why are you going back? Don't jump back. Just
Let's bring it out of him. All right? Did a good job, tough fall, straight punching. That left hook is in there now, you understand? Feint the body and go over the top of the left hook.
Here we see Valuev land a very good right hand here. I mean, with full power. And Barrett just coming back with punches out of the blue and still landing. Here a good left hook. Valuev throwing his right hand, but throwing it too slow, and instead Barrett came inside of the punch. Here you see just accumulation of punches and probably just a physical strength.
Let's go.
Valuev shakes his arms to get a little bit of the tension out, and then unloads a big right hand shot over the top.
Let's go. Valuev is so predictable. We just steadily throwing the same thing over and over and over. If Barrett would just settle down and think and do anything to counter that, he would be very effective.
If you don't have, fast twitch muscles, it's hard to deliver that kind of quick knockout punch. It's
Harold,
all strength.
Harold, how do you have it through 9?
Okay, Jim. 87-83, 6 rounds to 3, Nikolai Valuev. Jim, you got to give him an extra point in round 8 because he knocked Monte Barrett off his feet. And I got to tell you what this thing was with the referee. There are a lot of referees in the world that don't let a guy measure his opponent, okay? And that was what John O'Brien objected to. He didn't want Nikolai Valuev measuring Monte Barrett, leaving the left arm outstretched, you know, sort of holding him off with the left arm. Now, my call is it's perfectly legal as long as you keep the boxing glove closed, but a lot of referees object to it.
It's a good thing for Lennox Lewis that John O'Brien never refereed one of his fights.
Especially when he fought short guys. But anyway, he doesn't understand English that well anyway, so whatever the referee said, I don't think it upset him too much.
That's right.
We ought to give Barrett credit for making the best fight he can.
In terms of that, I would give him an A+. He's doing a great job considering the conditions and everything, even though he's doing it the hard way.
Incidentally, Valuev is that rare, intelligent, relatively educated Russian who doesn't speak English. He speaks some German, but no English, and that, frankly, is unusual. Back in the day of the Soviet Union, that might not have happened.
And I don't know if he's interested in trying to learn to speak English. Seems to be very happy with his Russian and German life.
Seems to be happy with much of his life, other than the publicity responsibilities of his boxing career, which definitely aren't his favorite thing.
You know, just 2 years ago, when he was being treated as a kind of carnival act, he was living in a one-room apartment with his wife and child 2 years ago. Looks to me like a one-room apartment wouldn't be big enough for him.
And amazingly, his professional boxing career has already lasted 14+ years. So in other words, he was 12 years into his pro career living in that one-room apartment.
Barrett is really hurt now.
Blood coming from his mouth, swelling around both eyes. He's hoping to land the David slingshot shot to the forehead of Valuev.
He's fighting a very courageous fight.
Chop, chop, chop by Barrett. But the tall tree just keeps ambling by.
Well, you see, you're not listening to me. You're not listening to me. Is that a boxer? You're acting like an actor. You left, left, right, right. I told you. And try to increase the combinations. The more combinations, the better.
Give more. All right. Got 2 rounds, Monty. 2 rounds. 2 rounds to bring it out of him, understand? Short shots, short shots.
You gotta step around, you can't put your head in the air. You gotta listen to what he wants you to do. Okay. Hit this guy
short
with that
shots. Short shots, man.
Go, guys, come on. You took him further than he wanted to go.
Short shots.
Harold Letterman gave the last round to Valuev. Now with a commanding lead on the Letterman scorecard. Midway through round 1, it looked as though the fight was going to go only a few minutes. Now we're looking at what is likely a 12-round fight.
I'm very surprised that the fighters went this long. And it tells me quite a few things. One, Monte Barrett has got a lot of guts. And that also, Valuev doesn't have that much punching power because he's been landing punches. And it's just an accumulation of other factors, but not his punching power, that has Monte Barrett in this situation that he's in now.
And once again, the referee, John O'Brien, says that's not a knockdown. Barrett just went down from fatigue, but oh, that right hand should do it. Barrett comes under the ropes on the knockdown. And let's see how much courage he's got left. He deserves a ton of credit for the bravery he's shown in fighting his way to this point in the fight.
Let's go.
And he's going to keep going. And let's hope he doesn't get hurt. Monte, 2 guns. Barrett is outgunned now and in jeopardy against the big man. And you just hope he does not become a stationary target. And that uppercut may be enough to bring an end to it as an exhausted Barrett pulls himself up again. 2 knockdowns in this round. 3 overall in the fight. Valuev prohibitively ahead on the scorecards, or so it would appear.
There's no reason
why Barrett needs to go through this again. Absolutely no reason for Barrett to have to take one more big shot from this giant.
Break, step back, let's
The
go.
fact that most of them are clubbing shots is the only reason that he's up and
The fact that there's a chance of getting hit behind the head.
But yes, if you avoid those head
Makes it
punches.
very dangerous.
Yeah.
It's just not necessary, and James Bashir is going to jump into the ring and save his man.
Good for him. That was no gentle,
Very good for James Bashir.
Very good call.
that was no gentle giant he was dealing with at the end.
And that is a brilliant stoppage by a trainer. That ranks right up there with Eddie Futch in Manila.
Yep, and you know, they could actually call that a disqualification at the end in some cases.
So what?
But he did what he had to do to
He
save
saved his fighter from an unnecessary shot. Brilliant by Bashir. Valuev closed the show, landing 19 out of 29 power shots. He comes to Chicago and shows big shoulders.
He is an unusual combination of stuff. I mean, his size, obviously, but he has surprising stamina. It looked to me like his work rate really didn't change through the fight.
All right, Emanuel Stewart, let's go back and look at what happened here. Here's the first knockdown of the round. Valuev with a chopping right hand over the top, and Barrett, as much exhausted as battered, goes down.
It's mostly just a combination of, we say, just the weight, the fatigue set in, and the effect of all those clubbing right hands to the side of the head finally taking their effect. But more so than everything, I think exhausting.
And now the second knockdown. And for some reason, at this point, the referee decided that it was somehow viable to let Barrett keep going and get hit again. And James Bashir, the trainer for Barrett, ultimately figured out that that was not the smartest idea. And here he comes. Watch Bashir sneak along the side of the ropes here and then forcefully jump into the ring and grab his fighter. Good man. Emanuel Stewart's longtime assistant trainer, works very devotedly with Vladimir Klitschko. Said before the fight, if Monty somehow upsets Valuev and was ever in line to fight Klitschko, I would have to recuse myself from the fight, not be a part of it. He's a tremendously honorable guy. And so too is Valuev, who was not looking to unnecessarily hurt Barrett.
Bashir is one of the most important people in our training camp. Very, very good person in addition to being a good trainer.
Let's go to Michael Buffer now for the official particulars on the Valuev knockout win.
Ladies and gentlemen, the end comes at 2 minutes, 12 seconds of round number 11. The winner by TKO victory, still undefeated and still the WBA heavyweight champion of the world, the pride of St. Petersburg, Russia, Nikolai Valuev.
Very much, Jim. Congratulations, Nikolai. You've now beaten 4 Americans in a row. Give us your feeling about this fight.
Как вы чувствуете себя после вот этого конкретного боя?
Я очень давно не дрался в Америке. И получилось так, что как будто все заново. Публика, новый зал.
I haven't been fighting in the United States for a long time, and now I feel like it's all new for me. The audience, the ring, and everything else.
Do you think you achieved your goal tonight of an eye-opening victory for the American public?
Думаете ли вы, что вы достигли своей цели сегодня? Это как бы вновь открыли глаза для американской публики.
Надо почитать, что напишут в газетах и что скажет американская публика.
Well, I have to read what they're gonna publish in the newspapers and what the American public would say about me.
Я очень рад, что я слышал, как в зале за меня болели. Спасибо огромное.
But I've heard many fans around here in this audience, and I'm very appreciative. Thank you.
Who would you like to fight next?
С кем бы вы хотели встретиться на ринге в следующий раз?
Всякий раз я делал ошибки, делая прогнозы на того, с кем я буду боксировать в следующий раз. Поэтому я не буду прогнозировать.
Well, I'm not going to make any forecast right now, but each and every time when I do that, I make mistakes.
Thank you very much. Congratulations again.
Спасибо и поздравляю вас еще раз.
Спасибо большое.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jim?
All right, thank you very much, Larry. And before we leave the air, we're expecting to have that live interview with Floyd Mayweather Jr. in anticipation of his fight against Carlos Baldomir coming up November 4 live on HBO pay-per-view. Emmanuel Stewart, our first look at Nikolai Valuev. We're going to put up a graphic of the 4 fighters from former Soviet republics who hold heavyweight titles at this moment. Among the 4, and understanding that Vladimir Klitschko is your fighter, trained by you, where do you rank Valuev off what you saw?
Well, tonight I was given the benefit of the doubt and say because of the anxiety and the style of Barrett, it may have got him off track a little bit. So I'm going to try to go back and say that what I saw on the film, that he's still a little better boxer than they showed tonight. And as Larry pointed out, he showed great stamina tonight. I was really impressed that still, even though it was a kind of sloppy fight, he never seemed to have tired too much. So I would say, looking at the heavyweights, I would say Vladimir, because that's what the majority of the experts have said, not me, Ring Magazine included, and he defeated Chris Barrett, which is the one that everybody considered as the premier heavyweight at that time. And I would say probably Sergei Liakovich. Really learning all these names is interesting too.
That's good.
And then I would go down to maybe, I would put Valuev maybe 3rd. And then I would put Moscow possibly about number 4 right now. Because outside of that one victory with Rockwood, he hasn't did too much in recent years. But who would have thought 10 years ago, when I first met Vladimir Klitschko after he was returning from winning the gold medal in the Olympics in Atlanta, and I befriended him, that 10 years from now, the heavyweight champions of the world will be named Moscow, Liakovich, Valuev, and Klitschko. I would have never would imagine that in 10 years.
Well, that just means that the earth shifted on its axis during that period of time. And incidentally, just to further indemnify us, yes, he trains Vladimir Klitschko, but Klitschko is rated #1 in the world as the heavyweight by ESPN.com, by Ring Magazine, by virtually every credible critic who studies the sport. Larry Merchant, what of Valuev and his place in the heavyweight division now?
Well, I have a couple of thoughts, Jim. The first is a story that Don Elbaum, the promoter, told me about one of Valuev's earlier visits to America. He was asked how tall Valuev was. He said, well, 7'2", and the reporter said, did you measure him? He said, actually, he's 7'3", but I don't want to scare people. Does he scare people? It doesn't look like he really scares people because he's not that kind of a punishing puncher. My other thought is something that an old friend, Darrell Royal, the Texas football coach once said about dating in his small town he grew up, Hollis, Oklahoma. He said, old ugly is better than old nothing. And right now, that's the heavyweight division. Maybe it will sort itself out in the next month. But until then, it's still old ugly, better than old nothing.
Well, certainly to us in the United States, but if you were in Russia or Belarus or Kazakhstan or Ukraine, you might think these are the glory days of the heavyweight division. It's all in how you look at it, isn't it?
It is, but I am in the United States.
So are we. Meanwhile, also in the United States, and joining us now live, I think, from Las Vegas, Nevada. We were not able to connect with him directly during the period between fights, but there he is, pretty boy Floyd Mayweather Jr., the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, who gets his crack at the welterweight championship November 4 against Carlos Baldomir. And Floyd, I got to start you off by asking, what did you think of the Russian giant Valuev?
He was impressive. To be a guy that big, he threw a lot of punches.
To be a guy that big, he threw a lot of punches. And did you happen to see the sensational light heavyweight bout between Paul Briggs and Tomas Adamek that preceded that? That was a whale of a fight, wasn't it?
Oh, man, unbelievable. They had a great fight the first fight, and the second fight was another unbelievable fight. So it was a good fight.
Fun night for us. All right, Floyd, the news hit general media yesterday. Your Uncle Roger and full-time trainer is now incarcerated as the result of a conviction on a battery rap and is not going to be available to prepare you for your fight with Carlos Baldomir. So now what happens in the gym? Who becomes the trainer?
Well, I just stick to my same regimen. I've been working with Leonard Ellery, Rafael Garcia, just sticking to my same regimen. I can make an adjustment or I can adapt to anything. So, I feel good. I'm mentally and physically prepared. So, you know, November 4th, that's my big day, so I'll be ready.
Is that another way of saying that the man who runs Floyd Mayweather's gym is really, at the end of the day, Floyd Mayweather, and ultimately you train yourself in a sense for what you do?
Well, no, I can't say that. You know, I got to give all the credit to my uncle Roger Mayweather. But after being in this, you know, the sport 20 years, I should be able to handle myself one night.
Do you have any specific concerns about missing Roger on the night of the fight?
Oh, not at all. I talk to Roger all the time. He give me a lot of pointers. I mean, with the best trainer in the world, Roger Mayweather. That's why I'm 4-time world champion, you know, today.
Well, there are two mutual opponents for you and Baldomir. You beat Zab Judah by decision. He beat Zab Judah by decision. You embarrassed and annihilated Arturo Gatti. He wound up knocking Gatti out himself. Both of you went to Atlantic City and took care of Arturo. That was you. And we're showing our viewers right now how dazzling you looked last summer of 05, as you annihilated Gatti in Atlantic City. And now we're looking at July 22 of this year as Baldomir laid punishment on Gatti and ultimately knocked him out himself. Now, I assume, Floyd, that you're going to tell me that Baldomir merely beat up the battered shell of Gatti that you had left behind. Is that your take?
Well, you know, I got nothing but respect for what he done. He to fight the best fight in the world. And the fight is called Pretty Risky. I'm risking my label as being the best fighter in the world, pound for pound, and he's risking his WBC title. And this guy got 60-plus fights. It's a great matchup. It's a good matchup. I know I'm an 8-1 favorite, but you know, I don't overlook no opponent. You know, I'm focused. I feel strong. Got a great camp. Team Mayweather's ready to go, and I'm ready to go.
Floyd, you've moved up in weight over and over, 130, 135, 140, 147 now, and in moving up that high, you've finally reached the point where you're going to fight a guy who walks around at 185 pounds, which I think functionally makes him, on his walking around days, about a 30 pounds bigger man than you. Is that of any concern to you in the fight?
Well, it's not really by how much a guy weighs. It's by your skills. You know, skills pays the bills at the end of the day. It's not by how big a guy is. It's by smarts. I mean, the less you get hit, the longer you last in the sport. And, you know, I really haven't took no punishment in the sport, so that's why, you know, I lasted 10 years in the sport, and I'm still going strong.
A lot of people think your toughest fight was your first fight against the vicious body puncher Jose Luis Castillo, and some say Baldomir's the same kind of fighter. Do you see a comparison there?
Well, I think Castillo is a much bigger puncher than Baldomir, but I don't know what Baldomir brings to the table yet because I haven't been in there with him before. But I'm gonna be focused. I'm gonna have my A game on, and I'm gonna be the same old Floyd Mayweather. You know, flash, flamboyant, and nothing but excitement.
Hey, Floyd, thanks for being with us tonight, and most especially, thanks for waiting around through the main event to do this interview at the end of the evening instead of an hour ago when you expected. We appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
All right, Floyd Mayweather Jr., and you will see him in that live pay-per-view bout, HBO pay-per-view, November 4. Carlos Baldomir defending the welterweight championship he won from Zab Judah and defended against Arturo Gatti against Pretty Boy Floyd, the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the sport. Boxing After Dark travels to Manchester, England next Saturday night, where Jeff Lacey's conqueror, 168-pound champion Joe Calzaghe defends his title against Saki Obika of Cameroon. Friday, October 27, catch the premiere of Countdown to Baldomir Mayweather, a documentary-style look at both fighters as they get ready for their welterweight championship showdown on November 4. Next on HBO, stay tuned for the premiere of Best Sex, a retrospective on the East Coast, and Walk the Line on the West Coast. And now for our entire HBO crew, I'm Jim Lampley, saying so long from Chicago, Illinois.
This has been a presentation of HBO Sports.